Hi everyone, this is Migs from Sneaks and Ball PH, and today we have a detailed review on the Air Jordan 1 AJKO Chicago. Before we get started, if you do like the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. I'll also be leaving a link to the SNBPH Sneaker Hunters Facebook group in the description box, so I do hope that you can join us because that is a place where we talk about sneakers and basketball quite a bit, and it's also where I hold my monthly giveaways. Then if you haven't already, please do make sure to sub to the channel because it really does help us out quite a lot. Then with that out of the way, let's take a look at the Air Jordan 1 AJKO Chicago. I know I am a bit late on the review on these, but I did have someone in the comments request for these, and I was actually able to get these at a really good price. Because initially when these released around 3 weeks ago, I think I initially took an L. And at first I wasn't too bummed out about taking the L because as I remember, no one really likes the AJKO. So I was expecting that I could have gotten these on the resale market pretty easily and at a pretty good price. However, initially, or at least for that first week, the resale price were pretty high, which I was really surprised by, but I guess that's just the state of sneakers right now because just as long as you're a Jordan 1, it doesn't matter if you're the mid, the low, or the AJKO, you're gonna have people copying it for resale and trying to spike the price up. But the good thing is eventually, like I predicted, the prices would go down, so I was able to get these for almost retail. The Jordan 1 AJKO was actually released at the same time as the original Jordan 1s in 1985, and the AJKO name actually means the Air Jordan knockoff because this was sort of a budget Jordan 1, just like how LeBron has the Soldier line or the Ambassador line in China, and how Kobe also used to have the Phenomenons as well as the Mamba Rage or Mamba Instincts. However, even in 1985, the AJKO didn't really do that well because most people didn't like all canvas shoes because at the time all the major brands like Converse, Adidas, and Nike were using all leather shoes, so having a predominantly canvas shoe like the AJKO was sort of like a step back at the time. The AJKO Chicago actually retroed a few times already, the first one being in 2010 and the second one being 2014. Not a lot of people went out and got those 2010 or 2014 retros. However, I do think the appeal of this 2021 retro of the AJKO, aside from the fact that Air Jordan 1s are just extremely hyped right now, is the fact that they've actually sort of retroed or remastered the shoe to be way more like the original. Aside from the shade of red being more accurate in this 2021 retro compared to the 2014s, you also have the right midsole and outsole because the 2010 versions I think used a Jordan 1 outsole, which just wasn't like the 1985 pair because the original AJKO used a Nike Vandal outsole. I also personally think that even though I wasn't too hyped on the shoe, I will be wearing these a lot. So to see why, let's take a look at the tech specs. Starting off with the traction, like I said, the AJKO does have the same outsole as the Nike Vandal, where you have a circular traction pattern radiating off the ball of the foot, as well as here at the heel. This is pretty similar as well to the traction on the Air Force 1, however I feel like the lines are thinner and more raised, which makes it a lot more grippy in my opinion. This sort of traction is perfect for casual wear because for one, it is nice and durable, and second of all, because this traction and rubber compound will grip whether you're walking on cement, on tiles, or on wood. Then moving on to the cushion, the midsole on the AJKO is very basic because just like the outsole, the midsole is from the Nike Vandal, which doesn't actually feature any Nike Air. The standard or regular Air Jordan 1s do actually have a polyurethane wedge here at the heel with an encapsulated air unit. However, with the AJKO, you just pretty much have a full-length rubber cupsole. Now, rubber cupsole doesn't really give you much impact protection at all. It also doesn't give you any plushness, but the one saving grace of the cushion is definitely that thick polyurethane insole in the shoe, which does give you some underfoot comfort. Even with that thick insole though, the cushion is still pretty much ass. But if you are looking for a comparison as to how the cushion feels, it's pretty similar to your Adidas Superstars or even your Nike Blazers. Then for the materials, this is definitely the main difference between the normal Air Jordan 1s and the AJKO. Instead of having an all-leather build, you do have canvas for most of the shoe, but you also do have a little bit of leather here at the ankle collar as well as the Nike swoosh. That canvas material is actually pretty light and pretty thin, which definitely does make it feel nice around your foot, and I think the more that you wear these, just like with the Chuck Taylor, it will fit better around your foot and will feel much softer. I do like that there still is leather on the shoe because I think it gives a nice contrast with the material, materials. And since it is around the ankle, I think it just makes it a little bit more plush and comfy around the ankle. Then on the tongue, you do have your standard Jordan 1 nylon tongue. And then inside the shoe, you do have a nice and padded textile sock liner. The materials overall on the AJKO are definitely a little bit more light feeling than the standard Air Jordan 1, just because canvas is a lot thinner and more lightweight than actual leather. And an additional thing that I like about a canvas upper is that it looks really nice once it ages, so I'm definitely pretty excited to wear these around and sort of beat them up. Then for fit and sizing, I did go through the size with the AJKO and it fits me perfectly well. It does fit pretty similar to a standard pair of Air Jordan 1s, it's just that, you know, the upper is made of this canvas that is pretty strong, so it's not gonna stretch out and accommodate your foot as well as an actual leather. It does fit pretty comfortably on me though, and I do like that padded collar, just because it really makes you feel locked into the shoe. So for my recommendation on the sizing, if you have a normal width foot or a narrow foot, go through the size. Then if you have a wide foot, there is a lot of heavy stitching here on the wings, so I definitely recommend that you go at least half a size up. Then for the aesthetic details, the AJKO Chicago does make use of that simple white, red, and black color scheme, and it just looks super clean, just like the standard Jordan 1 Chicagos. On the outsole, it is all red, and once again, you have that Nike Vandal traction pattern. And then here at the midfoot, you have some Nike branding. Then moving on to the midsole, you have that full-length rubber cup sole. And the nice thing about the 2021 retro is they kind of did something in the middle of what they did with the 2010s and the 2014s. Because with the 2014s, it had a stark white midsole, and the 2010s had this heavily yellowed midsole. But with this 2021 retro, it is a little bit of an off-white, but it's not anything too intense, so in my opinion, it does have this really nice, slightly vintage look to it that was definitely tastefully done. Then moving on to the upper, you do have a mix of white, red, and black, with the white being here on the canvas on the forefoot, as well as the midfoot and the heel. Then for the red, you do have it on the canvas on the eye stay areas, as well as those forefoot wings, and this canvas overlay here at the toe. You also have red here on the leather, here on the wings at the ankle collar. And then for the black, you do have it here on the leather on the ankle, as well as your Nike swoosh on the medial and lateral side. Then for the other pieces on the shoe, you do have white on the nylon tongue, as well as white on this heel tab, and then you have a black textile sock liner. Then for the smaller details on the shoe, you do have this nylon tab at the top of the tongue with your Nike branding. Then take note that it is just Nike branding and not Nike Air branding, because like I said in the cushion, there isn't any Nike Air in the shoe. You have your Wings logo as well here on the lateral wing, and it's pretty much your standard Wings logo. However, instead of saying Jordan, it actually says AJKO. Then here inside the shoe, you do have that OG detail where it is like the style code as well as your size, and it's printed onto the sock liner. You also have your Nike branding on that polyurethane insole. And lastly, for the laces, they do come with black laces out of the box, but it also comes with extra pairs of white and red laces. I will definitely stay with the black laces though, because that's more of the OG vibe, and I honestly think that the black just works the best with this shoe. Then for the overall aesthetics, I was kind of skeptical on how these would look on my feet, but I did try putting these on and it just looks really nice. I do really like that slight off-white look here on the midsole, and I do think because that upper is canvas and you do have a lot of white on that canvas, it will get a little bit more dingy and yellow a little bit over time, which in my opinion will give it a really nice vintage look that will match the midsole. I also like how the red really pops, and it's that right shade of red. You know, your standard Chicago Bull things. It is just a simple shoe with an insanely classic colorway, so you really can't go wrong. The only thing that people really nitpick about the shoe is how the back kind of feels bare because there isn't any red on the heel, but for me it actually does look clean, and I also like it because it kind of gives a difference between the OG Jordan 1 Chicago and the AJKO Chicago. Then for the price, the AJKO Chicago retailed for 7,345 pesos here in the Philippines, or $140 US. Even though I do think they did such a good job making this as close to the 1985 pair, I still think 140 is a little bit expensive because, you know, this was intended to be the knockoff of the Jordan 1, and the Jordan 1s do retail for 180, so you can say that these are cheaper than those. But I mean, you do have like Jordan 1 mids that retail for 110 or 120, and you also have Nike Dunks from 100 to 110, so I definitely think they could have gotten the price down on these to like 120, which I think would have made the shoe even more popular. These did sell out right away just because of the Jordan 1 hype and the fact that Chicago colorways are very hyped as well. But once again, like I always say, if you initially take an L, just monitor the prices, and that's exactly what I did. So sort of just practicing what I preach, because these were going for like over $200 at first, then they went down to around 180, and I think there's still 180 on StockX, which in my opinion is a little high, so just wait a little bit more. But I was able to find these on the Facebook Marketplace for $10 over the retail price, which was in my opinion a pretty good deal. So once again, if you are looking for these on the resale market, I think $160 US or 8,000 pesos is probably the max. And if you can't can't find one at that price, I would just suggest that you wait a little bit more because you never know, you might be able to find them soon enough. So there you have it guys, that was my detailed review on the Air Jordan 1 AJKO Chicago. Then once again, if you haven't already yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon for notifications. It would help us out a lot. Here at Sneaks and Ball, PH.